News 13 reporter Joey Pop talked to the families who have fought such a plan for more than 40 years. Joey?
Cheryl, this has become a battle between the people whose history lies in the park and environmentalists who say a road would hurt portions of the Great Smokies. Would you like to be buried there?
Yes, I would. And we have several that would like to be buried there.
Helen Vance wants to be laid to rest where her ancestors are, an area that is now closed off to access because of water, Fontana Lake. Helen is one of 700 families invited to visit this area every year. To get there, the government furnishes boat transportation. Then jeeps carry them the rest of the way, as much as 30 miles of trail to visit private and public grave sites. All this costs the taxpayer $30,000 a year. Now a new proposed bill has the association asking questions.
Do we have rights to go back to our cemeteries? Do we still have rights for our burial rights? It means a closing out to a lot of people. We have a lot of relatives and a lot of friends that have moved away from there that have never been back because they're afraid of crossing Fontana Lake and they're unable to walk in. So wilderness really means excluding a lot of people that will never see this area, will never be able to go back to this area.
Environmentalist Roger Smith believes the Cemetery Association would be the big winners if the area is declared wilderness.
Their grave sites that they want to visit would, in addition, be protected. The whole area would be protected. If a road were built, then there would be a much greater access to anyone who wanted to go in at any time, which would possibly lead to vandalism.
Even so, Helen Vance says her hopes of the promised road that environmentalists had stopped in the 60s due to rock formation concerns would disappear. Another reason to question her rights.
Afraid that our people are going to be the losers when we see the bill. We're really concerned about what's in the bill, what protections that we might have.
Now, we talked with Jamie Clark this weekend. He said that the association would continue getting the visitation service. That amounts to about 12 times a year. Now, the bill would also give Swain County money instead of the road. That amounts to $9.5 million.
Joey, when will Congress get this bill?
If all goes as planned, Cheryl, they should see the bill come Tuesday. Now, tomorrow, Jamie Clark is expected to discuss his proposal tomorrow here in Asheville.
Great. Thank you, Joey.
This morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joey Pop. It's 8:25. The temperature in Asheville is 44 degrees. In Greenville, it's 39. Hang in there. The sun is trying to make a show on this first day of spring. Bill will have more on the weather in a moment, but first, a look at the news. A North Carolina state trooper is lucky to be alive this morning after being shot 3 times. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. Trooper Alan Jones stopped a van on US 64 last night in Macon County when around 10:15, the bulletproof vest probably saved his life. Jones suffers only bruises. He's being treated at Angel Hospital in Franklin. 2 suspects are being sought after in a dark-colored van. Authorities are searching with the help of a helicopter today. They're looking in Macon County and bordering counties in South Carolina and Georgia. We'll have a full report tonight. PTL's Jim Baker is stepping out of the picture of his television ministry in Charlotte. That decision came after he had been blackmailed from an alleged sexual encounter 7 years ago. Just 2 weeks ago, his wife Tammy admitted being addicted to drugs. She's being treated at a California hospital. Evangelist Jerry Faldwell takes over as the PTL chairman. Investigators now believe a leaking gas tank is the blame for a Morganton school explosion. That's the word this morning. Evidence indicating the explosion started on the 2nd floor near an old science lab room. No one was hurt in that Tuesday night incident. South Carolina lawmakers have made some tax decisions. House members voted to raise the tax on liquor, but decided to hold off on a 3-cent tax hike on cigarettes. They're expected to look at that proposal again. It could mean over $12 million in revenues. In sports, the Tar Heels of North Carolina advances on in the NCAA. The Tar Heels down to Notre Dame last night, 74-68. Top Gun freshman J.R. Reed poured in 31 points, his career high, taking Carolina into Saturday's East Regional Final against Syracuse. It's 8:28. Bill joins me in a second.
Hey, Joey, we have clouds to the west of us. And I think I have a satellite picture up this time. I got it right. How about that? Will spring tonight. But I had to jump the gun on it.
It is tonight, because my calendar says tomorrow. Why is there a difference?
Well, it's because the sun actually passes the equator tonight at 10:50-something, climbing in the northern sky. And that officially becomes springtime. So tomorrow is the first full day of spring.
Big basketball weekend, and we have to mention that the Asheville High School girls are playing for the championship in Chapel Hill tomorrow. Best of luck also.
Right.
I sure hope you have a nice day, a nice weekend. Make it a good one the first weekend of spring.
Good evening, everyone. Investigators are now looking through what is left of a Morganton school, trying to determine what caused an explosion last night.
News 13 reporter Joey Pop joins us now with the latest. Joey?
John and Darcel, this story has gotten national attention, and that may be one reason why the FBI is on hand, along with other investigating teams, trying to decide the possibility or trying to decide the cause of this explosion and fire.
It was a big shake and noise, and after that everybody ran outside on the football field.
Ben Powell was one of 300 watching a basketball game when the explosion happened, next door in the 54-year-old school building. Last night's fire spread immediately throughout, leaving 75 firefighters battling a blaze seen as far as 10 miles away. Today it looked like a war zone, blown out windows, charred wood and brick, and these cars parked next to the building, destroyed. One having a piece of window molding embedded in its exterior, a reminder how forceful this explosion really was. Anything that was stored in this building that could have produced such a powerful explosion as this?
No, there wouldn't have been anything that I know of. We don't store any kind of chemicals. We just went through the 9th grade in the junior high, and there wouldn't have been anything in there.
Investigators say a cause will probably not be determined for at least 2 days. Still, beams must be removed before rubble can be sifted through. One possibility, a chemical explosion from the science lab. However, arson has not been ruled out. The area is roped off now, leaving students and teachers blocked out, many trying to get a glimpse of their once handsome campus.
It's unreal. It's hard to believe. It's just like a dream.
I've been there ever since kindergarten, you know, practically. I've come and gone now through the years, but that's the main school that I've ever been to. And something like this really kind of somewhat shocked me.
As we have been reporting throughout, no injuries, many calling that a miracle.
Joey, where are the kids going to finish the school year?
They will try to finish. Officials are trying to make those arrangements at the North Carolina School for the Deaf and also Broughton Hospital.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cheryl Barber. Authorities are following their first possible lead in a 2-day-old manhunt. Officers are looking for 2 men who shot but only slightly injured a North Carolina State trooper Thursday night. News 13 reporter Joey Pop has been on the scene all day. He's back and joins us now from the newsroom. Joey, what is this possible lead?
Cheryl, officers believe that a van stolen in Georgia early this morning may be in connection with the trooper shooting. It's a van similar to size, the one that the 2 suspects were in when they shot at Trooper Alan Jones Thursday night. The call came in early this morning. A van stolen just across the state line in Rabun County, Georgia. Randy Speed can't believe why someone would want his older model vehicle.
You know, who knows? Could just be somebody, that stole the van, but I don't see any way anybody would have stole a 79 van to try to resell it, because, the resale value is not that high on something like that.
But across the North Carolina line, troopers keeping a close eye at these road checkpoints.
I guess every van that passes by, you take a second look at it.
Yes, sir. We look at each van that comes in and out of here. This road, it circles back into Georgia, comes back out on 441 in Georgia.
North Carolina SBI agents taking this as one of the best possible leads. However, the Highlands area of Macon County, where Trooper Jones was shot at, has not been forgotten. Over 100 officers still on the scene here, many going door to door, asking residents if they've seen 2 suspects in a dark-colored van. The search continues. Just about everyone here is aware of the situation, except for tourists looking for a nice place to enjoy the first weekend of spring. Are you aware that there's a manhunt going on in the county?
No, but we figured something was up because in the drive over from Brevard, we've seen about six state troopers.
Back at the command post, more officers coming in from throughout North Carolina, hoping to find the 2 suspects that shot at Alan Jones. Now, Cheryl, officers will continue their search through the night.
Joey, why are they treating this manhunt with such importance, especially since Trooper Jones was not seriously hurt and since people get shot at quite frequently?
Well, that's a good question, and a question that we asked Lieutenant L.G. McCollum yesterday. They are treating this case as if a state trooper had been killed, especially when you consider the fact that we've had 3 troopers killed, 7 shot in the last 3 years.
And we'll continue watching this manhunt and report any details.
That's right.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
News 13 reporter Joey Pop found her today, anxiously awaiting her national debut.
This is Jeopardy! I wasn't shaking nervous. I think I was paralyzed nervous.
A microbiologist from Hendersonville, North Carolina, Barbara Platts.
It was just another day for Barbara Platts. No fanfare for a woman about to be seen from coast to coast on America's Toughest Game Show. Here's a sneak preview.
Don't try it in this Montana town. Barbara.
What is Edinburgh?
No, sorry.
I missed that. I thought it was Edinburgh. It's Glasgow, I believe. It's totally different. I think we all watch it in our living room and we all think to ourselves, oh, this is a piece of cake. I would do just great. It's so different.
What you're about to see tonight has been in the making for over a year. Barbara was picked from a Jeopardy search team. They made a stop in Asheville last February. Then, last November, she was called and invited to go to Hollywood to play the game, all at her own expense.
I went into it thinking that any prizes that were won would be just given to you that day. But it's 90 days after air date, not even 90 days after the show is taped, but 90 days after the air date. So it will be close to July before I receive the prizes that I won.
Looking back, Barbara, was it worth it?
Oh, definitely. I'd do it again in a minute. It was wonderful.
The boy on the Cracker Jack box is dressed in this. Barbara.
What is a sailor suit?
That's it.
Gary, stop it right there. We don't want to give it away. Tune in tonight to see how Barbara does, right here on WLOS 730. Joey Pop, News 13.
Kids of all ages gathered today in Asheville to sneak a peek at the greatest show on earth. We sent our own Joey Pop to cover the circus parade, only to find out that he was part of it. And he brings us this fun-filled report.
What do you do if you've never ridden an elephant, but given a chance to? Just jump right on. In my case, backwards. Well, after getting somewhat adjusted,
I think I got the biggest one!
Visions of being thrown and trampled on soon disappeared as I looked around to see what joy these animals brought to the faces of Carolina children.
We came to see the circus. They're pretty.
This is India. Welcome to Asheville.
Oh, no, the tails.
They're what?
Holding on to the tails. Look, that's awesome.
Indy and myself are taking this 45-minute ride to the Civic Center. It's all part of the Ringling Brothers and Barlow Bailey Circus, here through Sunday.
As the elephants made their way to their temporary home for the next 5 days, we caught a glimpse of circus setup, just in time to meet clown family Jimmy and Brenda Graham. Jimmy's from North Carolina. What's it like to be married to a clown?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell because we've been married to each other.
We've never been married to anybody else.
No.
We think it's kind of normal. He was a clown on the road when I met him, and the show came through Charleston, West Virginia. I was teaching school at the time. I was a speech and language pathologist, and I chucked it on, went to clown college.
All the fun begins tomorrow. First show, 7:30. Joey Pop, News 13, Asheville.
I'm leaving. I'm going to clown college.
You know, most people don't realize it, and they probably don't know it, but most news anchors have to have at least 2 years of clown college.
You had 4.
Oh, boy, it was cold today. It really
yes.
was. I felt sorry for those elephants this morning. They weren't used to this.
I felt sorry for Joey, too.
The search is on for the cause of an explosion that ripped through a Morganton junior high last night. News 13 reporter Joey Pop has been on this story and joins us now with the latest. Joey, first, were there any injuries at all?
Marcia, no injuries. And that's what many are calling a miracle, especially since 300 people were next door attending a basketball game.
This is all that's left of Salem Junior High. Firefighters, investigators, teachers, and students getting a first-hand look from last night's explosion and fire. Kathy Powell, a teacher, had her car parked in front of the school as she attended the benefit basketball game.
It was halftime at the basketball game. The buzzer had just went off, and we heard a big blast, like a boom or an explosion, and it felt like this gym shook. The lights flickered, and we heard window panes falling out of the windows. And we looked out the windows and we could see fire in the next building.
FBI and state explosives experts will only speculate the cause. A good possibility, a chemical explosion in the science lab. However, arson is also being considered.
To our knowledge, we don't know of any chemicals that would have been in the lab big enough to have caused this type of explosion.
You wouldn't think about something like that happening to your school. Something must have went wrong in the science lab because people was talking about that they were supposed to have an experiment in it tomorrow. And I don't know what happened. We heard a big boom, and we looked out the school gym's windows, and we saw flames in some classes, and we just run out to the ball field for safety.
Now, the investigation will continue for at least 2 more days.
Where will the students go to school to finish up the year?
That's a good question. Officials met today with the North Carolina School for the Deaf officials and also Broughton Hospital to make arrangements to use their space. But nothing definite has been set. And there is good news out of this. Salem Elementary School, left unharmed, and that's next door, is planning to reopen next Monday.
All right, good. Were the fire investigators able to get inside the school to take a look at things today?
That's what they are doing this afternoon, if not now while we speak. They were waiting to let the fire go ahead and burn itself completely out.
Right.
They were going ahead and putting water on that today, and then the steel beams and girders will also be taken out. They'll be able to sift through that rubble as early as tomorrow.
What happened.
That's exactly right.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
13 reporter Joey Pop just returned from there. He's outside in our studio to tell us about it. Joey?
Darcel, it does appear that Henderson County was one of the hardest hit areas in our viewing area. Officials reporting up to 3 inches of snow. Now that means hazardous driving conditions for many.
Icy roads and overpasses became very treacherous early in the day on main and secondary roads. Several accidents alone were reported in downtown Hendersonville.
Along mid-afternoon, the icy conditions turned to snow, helping motorists along Interstate 26.
Travelers taking a break at this rest area didn't seem to mind a little inconvenience.
I imagine this is better plane weather than driving weather, huh?
A lot better. Well, we're up here from Florida.
Have you ever seen snow?
I grew up in North Carolina.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you. This is his first time, though. He's never seen it.
Tell me what you think.
It's great.
How about driving in it?
It's not a whole lot of fun, but I don't know, it's different.
But thoughts of traveling as the afternoon wore on had many concerned.
If the weather keeps, in the same shape, we better stop and stay overnight somewhere.
Now, we do have reports that the interstate is beginning to get icy again. There's a traveler's advisory. The Highway Patrol advises that if you need to be out, be careful. If not, stay at home. Once again, because the temperatures are beginning to dip again, and it's beginning to get quite chilly. Unlike what you saw earlier in our tape, keep in mind that was mid-afternoon, but as we speak, it is beginning to get very hazardous once again. John, Darcel.
Thank you, Joey. Good evening, everyone. Exploding growth in Macon County is causing big traffic problems in Franklin. New roads must be built. And News 13 reporter Joey Pop says that has some townspeople worried about what may happen to their businesses.
Franklin, population just under 3,000 this time of year, but come summer, it triples in size.
It's this narrow 2-lane bridge that's causing the headaches in Franklin. It's the only way to come into and out of town. Now, what town officials would like to see is a new bridge being built downstream to take traffic coming into town, and then the existing bridge that's already here would be taking the traffic back out.
It has created somewhat of a very critical problem, especially as our town continues to grow.
Even though most people believe the roads must be expanded, others are worried because they have something to lose, like merchant Abdul Walani. His 7-year business in this building he owns would be wiped out because of expanded roads.
This is only a source of income for me, and I have to totally change my life.
Hi. Hi.
And Meg Blackburn just down the road would lose her pet shop.
This building is fairly new. I've only been here 2 years. I've put everything I've got energy-wise and financially into this business.
Tonight, a public hearing is being held by the Department of Transportation. The main question from these merchants, will they be fully compensated if they must move?
If the state decides that that's the best interest of the town to build a road through here, and they're willing to give me fair value for my business, then I'm willing to find a new location.
More than 300 people are expected to attend tonight's hearing. Joey Pop, News 13, Frank.
There's something fishy going on in Asheville these days, so we sent News 13 reporter Joey Pop to check it out. He met a Jackson County woman who's not telling fish tales. She's cooking up the real thing.
Meet Bonnie Baumgartner of Silva. She's cooking up her very own original fish dish, hoping to be crowned the best trout cook in America.
Sometimes it can be a disaster.
Bonnie's already beat out 1,000 other entrants nationwide. Now she, along with a woman from California and one from Kansas, are cooking it up in Asheville, all part of the U.S. Trout Farmers National Convention.
Couldn't boil an egg when I got married.
I don't believe that.
My husband taught me to cook.
Believe it or not, this is only the second time she's made her prized winning entry. You didn't know you had a winning entry until after it had been picked.
After it had been picked, and then I cooked it.
The moment of truth has arrived. Time for the judges to sample Bonnie's Rainbow Trout Spectacular. Also time to be a little nervous as she serves famed food editor Merrill Ellis.
The judges all have their own system and different, the numbers don't really make all that much difference. Our job is to find the winner, and basically taste is the thing you're looking for most.
As you can tell, the judges behind me are still judging, and we're not going to find out who the winner is until Friday night. But I'm able to sample some of this, and I got to tell you folks, this is spectacular. Of course, we're not going to be prejudiced because Bonnie is the hometown girl. Joey Pop, News 13, Asheville.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cheryl Barber. What a difference a day makes. That's what folks in the mountains are saying tonight after 3 straight days of pouring rain. But not everybody is out of the dark. News 13 reporter Joey Pop joins us live in our newsroom to update us on the storm cleanup. Joey?
Cheryl, bright sunshine this morning. It looked awfully good to people, especially in Henderson and Transylvania counties.
The French Broad River, swollen from steady rains, took its toll on secondary roads near Brevard. The owner of this vehicle probably wishing he didn't try to cross the swift current. The car appears to be a total loss. Are you from this area?
Yeah, I'm a native of this area.
Have you ever seen it this bad?
A couple times before, back in 1960 and in 77.
So while the valley looked and sounded like this, 3,000 feet above, it looked and sounded like this. Earl Lance of Seoff Mountain in Transylvania County hasn't had electricity since Friday afternoon.
Living here on the mountain 7 years.
Have you ever seen it this bad?
Not this bad, no.
You should have seen it yesterday when that road was closed completely up there. It was just like a tunnel. You just couldn't get...
Just down the road, Robbie Barton has adjusted to living without power.
Okay, there were biscuits all in here. And I gave my neighbors. We ate out. I gave a neighbor some biscuits.
Do you mind having to rough it?
No.
Now, I understand, Miss Barton, you've been out of power since Friday afternoon.
Right, since 1:30.
And how long have you been on this mountain, as far as living on the mountain?
31 or 32 years.
And have you ever seen damage like this?
Not this much damage.
Duke Power crews working around the clock to restore power to 1,100 households in Henderson County and 200 in this part of Transylvania County.
Now, we've just gotten word from Duke Power that those outages are beginning to come back on. They do ask that if you don't have power by 7 o'clock tonight, to call them. Call their emergency number. Now, on the tape earlier, you saw that if there were flooding conditions near the Brevard area. We have checked. Right now, there's no life-threatening situations. There never have been throughout the day. But we will update you on those conditions as the water continues to flow tonight at 11 o'clock. Cheryl?
And we understand that there have been no serious injuries.
No injuries. And there really has not been a life-threatening situation. The high waters over the secondary roads like you saw.
Good news. Thank you very much, Joy.
Preserving history is a hot topic in Asheville. In the past several years, 2 neighborhoods have been declared local historic districts.
But not without controversial outcries. News 13's Joey Pop is live at City Hall, where City Council is holding a public hearing on a proposal to make Biltmore Village a local historic district. Joey?
Darcel, first of all, let me mention that behind me here in City Hall, that public hearing has not started yet. They are hung up on the proposed $17 million Montfort redevelopment plan. They're still talking about that plan. But let's get back to Biltmore Village. It is an area of retail shopping and other businesses attracting much of the same tourist dollar as its big sister, the Biltmore House. That's why most of the 24 merchants want to see an historic district declared here. And that's where a governing
body would make sure guidelines would be endorsed when renovations or actual building would take place. But others don't like the idea of being told what restrictions they can do to their property. Now, joining me is Bob Gray. He is the president of the Merchants Association for Biltmore Village. What is the opposing view factors here, Bob?
Joey, I think the main thing is just people's wonder whether the government agency basically telling what a property owner can and cannot do with a particular piece of property.
Okay, and what are the benefits to your area being declared historic?
Okay, the benefits would basically be controlled development and the city getting into it and involved in parking, signage, landscaping, construction, so it'd be a uniform area. And so again, the pros and cons, how do you establish that?
Right.
And having somebody come in and tell you what you can do and can't do.
Okay.
We would hopefully control that with a committee from Biltmore Village.
I understand that after today it must be presented to City Council 2 more times. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, 3 readings.
Okay. We will update you on this story tonight at 11 o'clock. John and Darcel?
All right, thank you. Hood's future tonight. They are opposing efforts to rezone land near their homes for heavy industry. As News 13's Joey Pop tells us, they're worried and upset.
Grace Lewis and Bill Reed worry their homes could fall in value if a big industry moves in down the street. They represent about 150 families in this Henderson County subdivision.
These homes are well taken care of. People have a great deal of pride in keeping them up.
Heavy industrial allows everything from junkyards to stamping machines and used car lots.
The property is now zoned residential, but a grandfather clause allows this small business to operate here. But the owner of the land wants the property rezoned in case he wants to sell the land. Frank Schaefer's brother owns the property.
If he wanted to sell the property, he wouldn't be able to sell it to a prospective buyer because of the fact that the buyer wouldn't be able to do anything with it.
Because it's now residential.
It's zoned residential. Right?
The Henderson County Planning Board will hear both sides of the issue tonight here at the Annex Building beginning at 7 o'clock. A large crowd is expected to turn out. Now, whatever the recommendations are by that Planning Board, the proposal will go before county commissioners who will make the final decision. Joey Pop, News 13, Hendersonville.
Parking problems at the Asheville Mall may soon be a thing of the past. Mayor Lou Bissett and the mall's management broke ground this morning for a new 2-story parking deck. They hope to have it finished by October.
June Trantham of Haywood County may be standing on millions of dollars worth of sapphires, but she's in no hurry to find her fortune. She owns this old mica mine outside of Canton that's been abandoned for nearly 100 years.
If I knew for sure that I'd find one, I'd come and look.
But she doesn't care if others look. Rockhounds have been doing it ever since her grandfather owned the land 67 years ago. But no one's been more lucky than these 2 men. June says last December they found a $4 million gem in her backyard. It may be the rarest sapphire ever found. But what really hurts June is they did not even tell her. She read about it in an Atlanta newspaper.
If they wanted to give me a nice gift, I would accept it, but I sure wouldn't try to take any.
Since the 2 men found the sapphire, she's gone up in price from $2 to $3 to dig in her dirt.
I'm sure they didn't mind to pay 2, so I don't think they'll complain about paying 3.
Well, why not just charge 10? My goodness, $4 million bucks.
If business keeps picking up, I will.
June says her wealth is more than what the 2 men found.
I know what's here, and I think they've just got a piece of the rock. I've got the rest.
Joey Pop, News 13, Haywood County.
Place to go. Real nice place to go. Thank you for joining us tonight. Coming up at 11 o'clock on News 13 Nightcast, we'll meet